You need me to go sit out there?
Yeah. Alright, you're recording?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Crew resource management can be defined as a system which makes optimal use of all available resources, equipment, procedures, to promote safety and enhance flight efficiency. It's not really a technical skill needed to fly, it's cognitive and interpersonal skills needed to manage the flight deck. We'll touch on the history of CRM, information processing, decision making, human error, workload management, situational awareness, automation, communication and management, and single cockpit resource management. CRM training kind of started with NASA back in 1979. The 70s was a lot of airline crashes, and the primary cause was found to be human error. Failures of interpersonal communication, leadership, and decision making in the cockpit were the biggest ones. United Airlines was the first to implement CRM. CRM is now testable in the FAA commercial pilot written and the oral exam. Information processing. This is just how you take in information from your senses and process it through your brain. And most of what we deal with CRM is your attention span. You can really only focus on one thing at a time. You can switch real quick between them, but only one at a time. And 4 types of attention they speak of. You have selective, divided, focused, and sustained. Selective attention occurs when you're monitoring one thing. Several sources of input, greater attention being given to one. It's like the cocktail party effect. You know, you and your buddy are talking about the ball game, and you hear a girl say your name over there, kind of focus in on it, you know. Divided attention. That's common when you've got more than one task to do at the same time, and usually one task suffers at the expense of the other. Focused attention. That's what you guys are doing right now, focusing on a single source and avoid distraction, right? Sustained attention. The ability to maintain and be alert over long periods of time. That's real important when you're up there with the autopilot on with nothing to do. Decision making. Really, it all kind of comes down to your decisions and situational awareness. After recognizing the stimulus, you've got to decide on the course of action. And when you decide, you've got to implement it. There's 2 forms of formal decision making that we use. We use the DECIDE acronym and the action. DECIDE is detect a change, estimate the need to react, choose an outcome, identify actions to make that outcome happen, do the necessary action, and then evaluate to see if that's happening. Action, this is where you want to anticipate possible scenarios that are going to happen, look for problems. Consider the actions and outcomes. Time, how much time is available, do you need a decision now or can you put it off? Implement the decision, make the control input, transmission, etc. Observe the result, and then nominate your next point. Human error. To err is to be human. We've all heard some famous person say that. The error is unavoidable, but we can assure that human error does not result in events such as aircraft accidents. CRM covers 2 ways of addressing human error. You can either reduce them or control them to minimize their impact. There's usually a chain of errors that leads to an accident, and breaking one of those links can keep you from hitting that. And the CRM uses a Swiss cheese model. So basically each piece of cheese is a line of defense, but there's holes in the defense. As long as those holes don't line up, you won't make it to the accident. Common errors are slips, lapses, and mistakes. Slips are actions that are not taken. Lapses are missed actions that you forgot, and mistakes are a type of action that are error that's brought on by faulty planning or information. CRM uses dual checking to minimize that. And what that is just one pilot checks everything that the other pilot does. And you should always be aware that the other pilot can make a mistake on a challenge response checklist, no matter how much you respect or trust me. Workload management. Arousal is your ability to perform work, your readiness. And you've got to have constant stimulation to maintain that arousal. You're going to have low levels.
Easy.
Low levels of arousal equate to boredom and usually leads to complacency. So when you're en route, you don't have much to do, you get bored, and you quit checking for things. Workload is subjective and it's affected by many factors. You've got physical and mental demands, circumstances that it's got to be performed under. Is it foggy, low visibility, standard of performance required. As a pilot, it's going to be a high standard of performance. How much time is available? Requirements to carry out the task while doing other things, and environmental factors. And then your state of being. And you can use the FAA's checklist, the I'm safe, check that, which is illness, medication, stress, fatigue, needing. And then your skill level, experience, and your current health and fitness. Stress has a big impact on your workload, and stress can be work-related or you can bring it from home. So you've got to take care of yourself before you can do anything else. Fatigue, big issue. It's going to diminish your perception, motor skills, short-term memory loss, channel concentration, you'll be easily distracted, poor judgment, abnormal moods, and diminished standards. You can manage fatigue by getting 8 hours of sleep in a 24-hour period and taking short 20-minute power naps to give you like 2 hours of good awareness. You can manage your workload by doing tasks in your route phase of flight instead of approach and arrival. Plan ahead. Don't put off tasks that you can accomplish now for later. Divide the tasks between the crew and follow the procedures. Situational awareness. It's just knowing where you are, where you're going, who you're talking to, when you're going to get there, things like that. Where's the aircraft in time and space? And all your decisions are going to be based off of your situational awareness. So to maintain good situational awareness, you want to predetermine the roles for high workload phases of flight. Develop, plan, and assign responsibilities for problems and distraction. So in the event of an emergency, who's going to do this? Who's going to maintain the engines? Solicit input from all crew members, air traffic control, maintenance. Anybody you can talk to is someone you can use to keep your situational awareness. Rotate attention from the aircraft to people. Talk to your co-pilot, what's he seeing? Monitor and evaluate current status relative to your plan. Are you getting there? Things like that. Communication and flight management. Flight crews must be able to talk to one another. If you can't talk, you're not going to get anything done. Communication is vital in aircraft operations. If you have a breakdown in communications, it could lead to an accident. In fact, it's been cited in a lot of NTSB reports as the cause of accident. We've seen tapes where there's guys that are sitting in the back telling them about a flap setting or something, and they keep ignoring it all the way to the crash site. There are two types of communication problems: lack of communication and poor communication. Lack of communication is you're just not communicating enough. In poor communication, you're not getting your message across. And then that brings us to automation. The goal of automation is just to increase your situational awareness. But it still hasn't reduced the need for basic airmanship. So if you can't fly a plane, it doesn't matter how automated it is, you're probably still going to drive it right in the ground. Single pilot CRN. With single pilot, you don't have a crew to rely on, nobody to talk to other than ATC. So you're going to have to manage your workload a lot better than if you had a crew to divide that up with. And you're going to have to do a real good comprehensive self-briefing with pre-flight planning. All you guys know from your solo flights, seems like every time you go up, something changes, right? And the biggest weakness is all you have to rely on is yourself and CRN and single pilot. Thanks.